Hello everyone, I'm Tamara Bennett with Southern Adoornments Decor. How are you guys today? We're going to be painting a cute little pig wearing a flower crown. And so I hope you will join us. As always, I got my handy dandy egg carton here. And let's see, I think I want to use this brush. It's a smaller flat tip brush. And we are going to be doing, I don't know, it's hard to pick a color pink for a pig, right? So I picked these three shades. I've got Sugared Peach. It's kind of a warm shade of off-white. It's not quite a skin tone color. It's just a little bit of a warm off-white. I don't have the perfect skin tone color around here. Cotton Candy, which is a really bright pink, way too bright for a realistic looking pig. And then Blush Pink, which is more of a muted tone. So we're going to work with these three. I might end up doing some paint mixing, and we're going to see how it goes. So we're going to do this kind of like we would do our makeup. We're going to give her one base coat that would be like her foundation, and then we might add some like highlighting and contouring to make her look nice and peachy. So I'm going to mix these two colors together. I've got about half and half Sugared Peach and Cotton Candy. We're going to see if that gets us to about the shade of pink that I want. Let's see. Looking pretty close. I almost think it needs a little bit of this blush pink to kind of tone it down because it's still kind of bright. So I'm going to put just a tad bit of that in there. Okay, that's looking much better. So I just put a little squirt of that blush pink. Oh, hang on. We got to have a paper towel or something. All right, so this is about the perfect shade. Isn't that funny that I kind of lucked into that? Y'all just see what I just did. I was trying to show you all three of these bottles at the same time, and one of them flipped in the floor. So these three shades blended together. These are like half and half of these and just a little squirt of this one. And I've come up with just the right color of pink. It's not too bright. It's more of like a realistic pink. And of course my laptop's moving like dinosaur speed over there. It's not even that old. It's just not very fast. I'm going to coat her entire body, even her little hoofs and her little nose, even though we're going to do those darker later. We're just going to give her a foundation coat, kind of like we're doing makeup. And then we'll go back and add highlighting and contouring and all that later. I just like to have a good base coat first. And we're going to paint right over her face. So if you're new here, I sell all of these door hanger blanks with the etching in them. This is the 12-inch size, so this is a miniature pig. But I sell all the door hanger blanks with the etching in them so that you don't have to draw or freehand your little piggy. But once you paint right over them, you can still see the etched lines. You guys can't, but I can. But I hope you're having a good day. We've already, well, my 13-year-old is still in there working on his homework, but my younger son got all of his schoolwork done already. Matter of fact, he's like 2 days ahead on his schoolwork. He's already gotten Wednesday and Thursday done, and all he has left to do is his Friday work, and then he'll be done for the week 2 days early. So he wanted to take Thursday and Friday off and not have to worry about it. So we've got our little piggy coated in one coat of piggy foundation. That's what we're going to call it, piggy foundation. And then on our second coat, we're going to have a standby color on the side here. I'm going to use this color that we mixed a little bit in. It's slightly darker. It's called Blush Pink, but it's really a muted pink compared to like this one. It's much darker. It's probably not showing up on the camera very well, but I'm going to shade that in on top of this. So okay, hang on. We also need some lighter color. I'm having to think of this like makeup. It's really strange. I'm not used to doing much shading, but so for instance, we want her little arms here to look slightly lighter and brighter than the rest of her. And I'm going to mix. Do I have any? No, I don't have any over here. Never mind. I won't do that. Oh yeah, I do. Here we go. I've got some of this. It's in my Amazon affiliate shop. It's called Matte Fluid Medium. And anytime you're doing shading, it's a good idea to mix a little bit of this with your paint. So I'm just going to do a few drops in with my base coat color, the foundation color. And this will keep the paint from drying as quickly. It'll keep it more fluid. So now that we've added that, we're going to put our foundation back on. I'm just working on the little arms right now. So we'll put it on her arms, the little front arms coming down here. Then we're gonna dip in the lighter shade, which was the off-white, this one. And we're gonna shade that in on top of the middle of her little arms, and it makes them appear lighter in the middle, kind of like a highlight when you're doing your makeup. I'm not very good at highlighting and contouring, so this little piggy's not getting, you know, like celebrity makeup here, but whoops, as evidenced by what I just did. Let me get a baby wipe out. I got way out of line with my highlighting and went over her arm here. So I'm just gonna erase a little bit of that with my baby wipe. There we go. So let me kind of show you what I did up close. See, we added pink and then we shaded in the sugared peach color to make her arms that are in front appear lighter. Okay, so now we're gonna take our base coat again, and this time we're gonna do the outer part of her little body, like her little butt, I guess, sticking out on the sides here. And then we're gonna take our darker shade, the blush pink, and shade it in around the edges. See how that's real subtle? You gotta kind of keep your brush strokes going in the same direction. I noticed when I went back the opposite direction, it kind of messed it up. Ooh, that's about perfect. If you get a good stroke, don't go over it again. That's usually my rule of thumb. Okay, I'm gonna switch to an angle brush real quick. So I got a really small angle tip brush. Okay, so we've got our angle tip brush. I'm gonna get just a little bit of the darker shade, and I'm gonna shade on her shoulders on the outside of her arms now. So we highlighted them, but now we got a contour. So we're just gonna add, I'm adding it just to the longer tip of the angle brush. This is what I like to use angle brushes for. And I'm just gonna keep going in the same direction, pulling that paint down and around that shoulder, and then just kind of blending it a little bit as it gets further down. So see what we did? We highlighted, then we contoured with the darker pink. And then we painted our base coat here, and then we contoured with the darker pink around the edges. Is the template club closed, or you can join now? You can join now, Melinda. Go to southern-adoornmentsdecor.com/template-club. It's $30 a month. You get all of our new templates in one bundle for one low price of $30 a month. How do we print the 12-inch size template? You can't figure it out. Melissa, right now we don't have our templates available in printable format for that size. We're hoping to do that in the future. But right now you can take the JPEG that comes with your template, upload it to blockposters.com, and then choose to print on a different number of pages, and it will tell you the size that it's going to come out. So now we're going to take our base coat and go to the middle of our little piggy. It's pretty well coated, but we're going to just coat it again so that our shading will show up a little bit better. And then I'm going to take, actually I'm going to use my bigger brush, get a little bit of that sugared peach, just a tiny bit. And I'm going to shade in just a tiny bit of a highlight right here in the middle of her chest. Always start with less paint and add more. It's easier than trying to take it off if you put too much on there. So I'm just adding some highlight right in here. And then we can add some contour, switching to my angle brush, getting the blush color. And I'm going to add the contour going down the inside along the edge of her arm, right through here. And I got too much, so we're going to have to blend that out. So if that happens, just keep stroking the brush, going down, down, down until it blends, and that'll look better. Now we can also take this little blush color and color her little hoofs, because they're going to be a darker shade of pink as well. So we're just coloring those. We're not shading those. We're just putting all of the blush on there. Okay, this is looking pretty good so far. Let's switch back to our bigger brush. We're going to do a base coat on her cheeks and chin. Whoops, I almost dipped in the wrong color. Smear that out and spread it. We're not going to go much above her nose right now. Just going to stay on the cheeks and the chin. We're working in small sections and small areas, because if we switch to a big area, or if we try to do one whole thing at the same time, the paint starts to dry too quickly. So working in small areas kind of allows you to keep shading while the paint is wet. So now I'm taking the highlight and I'm putting highlights on her cheeks and a little bit on her chin. Now I'm going to switch to my angle brush and get some of the blush color. Okay, so now we're going to take our contour color and we're just going to go around the outer edge of her cheeks. Now that first stroke was a little bit too thick, so I'm just going to keep pulling that paint on down and around to her chin. So start at the top of each cheek and work down to the chin. And if you get too much, just keep pulling until it blends. And the reason this is blending so well right now is because I used that matte fluid medium, and I put all of this paint right in here is still wet. Normally it would be drying already, and then I would have a hard time getting this to blend. You can also blend with water if you don't have the matte medium, but the matte medium makes it so much easier. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of a shadow on the bottom side of her chin, also on her chest, just so that it creates a little bit of depth. So I'm taking my blush and just spreading it along there. We're going to do a little bit under her chin here too. Just make sure to blend out those lines a little bit. Like that, this paint was already drying, so that makes it a little bit difficult to blend. So if you're having any trouble blending, go back and get your foundation color and just work that in a little bit to kind of blend. Okay, that looks good. Let me show you up close what we've got going on. So see, that's some really harsh lighting. Looks better from back here. If you hold it up here, my ring light hits it really bright, but you can see the definition in the contouring and the highlighting and stuff. Okay, so now we're gonna do our little piggies underneath her mouth. I'm gonna add just a little bit more of that base coat, and then I'm gonna get my angle brush and do a little bit just under her mouth here. There we go. It's just adding just a little bit of depth of color. It's kind of like on top of and around her mouth. I just wanted that area to be slightly darker. Now we can take the blush pink and actually paint it in around on the snout. So this is the blush pink color, not blended. It's just the darkest pink. If you do not have these colors or something similar to this blush pink color, try Googling how to mix colors to get the color you want. For instance, I was thinking earlier I might need like the color mauve, and so I Googled how to mix color to get the color mauve, and it was talking about using pink and brown together to make mauve. And so if you're not sure what colors to mix, just Google. Now I'm taking this darker color and I'm painting inside the ears also. I'm not as good at controlling the paint with a angle brush as I am something else, but since this was the brush I was already using, that's what I'm still using. Okay, looks pretty good. Okay, let me set this down. And then let's see. I want to put a little bit of a highlight right here between her eyes. So I'm going to put the foundation color back there, go back over her eyes, and just put this all down in this area so that I can do some highlighting and contouring above her nose now. Because if you remember before, we only put that color below it. So now we've put it back on top. Oh, and I'm going to use my big brush and get my lightest color. And we're just going to do this right in the middle of her little forehead. Just shading in just a tiny bit of it to make that area appear brighter, because that's the front part of her face. Now I'm going to switch back to my angle brush and get my blush pink. And now I can kind of shade up near the edges under the flowers, because normally these areas would hit a little bit of shadow, right? Because there's, you know, a shadow underneath them. So I'm putting that in and blending it out and down onto her face. And then we'll paint her eyes and stuff on last. If you ever feel like you get too much shading, too much shadow color, get your original foundation color and go back over it. Now I just messed up my highlight, so I'm having to put it back in. There we go. It's kind of tricky, shading is, but once you get the hang of it, it gets a little easier. Like I'm noticing the more I do it, the easier it's getting. It was very, very intimidating when I first started to learn to paint, but you know, you will get better at it. Okay, let's do a tiny bit on her ears, on the outer part of her ears. Just gonna add just a touch of this around the outer edge of her ears. There we go. Let me pick her up and look at her. Okay. I think I need to get a little bit more of the foundation color and just blend right through here. I think I got too much paint on my brush. I'm having a hard time blending. So I've got my baby wipe. Just wipe some of it off. That kind of makes it easier sometimes. There we go. Now we're blending. There we go. Okay, I'm going to stop while I'm ahead because it looks pretty good. So let's paint all of her little facial features, like her mouth and the little nostrils and the eyes, and then the flowers. Actually, let's do our flowers first. That way her little face comes alive when we're done. The color I chose for the flowers is called Tomato Red. It's a deeper red. I thought it might complement, you know, the tones of her face and stuff. We're getting real technical sounding. But I'm going to get a little flat tip brush, and we're just going to paint in these little flowers. This tomato red is a really rich, pretty, like deep red. I think it's going to be very pretty. This size, the 12-inch size door hanger, would be very good as a wreath attachment, or a kid's door hanger, or something just cute to set in your kitchen on the shelf. I like to use mine as a porch sign attachment. So you guys know I have a sign on my front porch that's 6 foot tall that says welcome. And so I like to Velcro these little things to the O section of that porch sign. And it makes it to where I can change out the, you know, the little attachments on that sign for the different seasons and occasions. It just freshens up my porch a little bit. Okay, we've got our red. I don't think we're going to need a second coat on that red because it covered really well. Okay, and then our green, I'm going to use light avocado. It's also a little bit more of a muted color. It's not as bright as what you would normally see me painting with, but I thought it might look pretty with our little piggy. So we're just covering these little leaves with the green. Okay, let's finish our piggy. We were waiting for the red to dry a bit. Now I'm going to get a round tip brush, and let me dampen the bristles a little bit to make sure they're nice and smooth. And I'm going to get, let's see, we might even just use these little colors from our piggy. I'm going to get this blush color, the darkest pink, and just do some little accents inside the flowers. I'm doing kind of like a little, it's almost like a seagull kind of shape, or a comma. I kind of mix and match them together a little bit just to make the outlines of a flower. Do that on each one. And then I'm going to rinse that brush, and I'm going to get some black. We haven't used black yet. By the way, all of the paints that I'm using are Decor Americana matte acrylics. I get asked that a lot. And the wooden blanks that we ship out are 1/4 inch MDF. It's a special kind of wood. If you want to cut your own blanks, we sell the templates for these. You can get them in the shop for $5 each. The only thing is this MDF wood is a little bit difficult to get in some places. So if you want to cut your own, and you can't find that kind of wood, I would recommend using Revolution plywood. That's what I used for many years before we started laser cutting our door hangers. Okay, now I'm just taking this little round tip brush, and I'm doing some little wiggly lines inside my flowers. If you need to, just screenshot that real quick so you know what they look like. Okay, now I'm just taking my brush and doing some little dots in the middle of the flower to kind of make it look like it's got some little dots in the middle. See that? We're going to take our round tip brush, and now we're going to outline. We could do this with a paint pen, but it's almost easier to do it with a brush. So because these areas are so small, I like to do it with a brush sometimes. So, and because I already had my brush out, and this brush is actually behaving quite well. Sometimes round tip brushes don't do that. All right, now we're just going to trace and outline her little nose. You can do this with paint pens if you like. There we go. And then we can do her eyes. And then we'll do a little white dot in the middle of her eyes as well in a moment. And we'll do some little highlights and things like that. I had to concentrate. I'm painting eyelashes. If I get to talking or giggling, my hand wiggles. Okay, now do her little eyebrows. Now I'm just adding some little accents with my round tip brush around her ears. We'll do it around her nose as well. Again, you can do these with a paint pen if you like. Sometimes I do paint pen and sometimes I don't. Today must be a don't day. And then we'll go around the edges of her ears and face and stuff like that too. If you're having trouble, like I am right now, getting your paint to go around very easily, like you're having troubles getting it to spread the way you want it to, add a few drops of water to your paint. That's what I just did to my black paint. And it's going to make the black paint flow so much better. Ah, yes, there we go. And so now I can kind of just do my little lines and things without struggling so much to get them even. The paint goes further. So here's what we've got so far. She still needs some little white accents in her eyes so she doesn't look like a zombie. Now I'm just outlining all of the little details. These are actually the areas where the etched lines are on the door hanger, and I'm just following right along those little lines. I'm not having to like freehand figure out where this is. I'm just drawing right on top of those little etched lines. There we go. Okay, now we can do our little highlights. Normally I would do highlights with just straight white paint, which I will for her eyes. But everywhere else, I think I'm going to use that sugared peach color that was our highlight color for our pig's makeup, so to speak. Right now I'm just getting a tiny little bit of white and doing a dot in her eyes so that she appears awake. Hang on, I dripped some water onto my piggy. There we go. Okay, rinsing my brush. And now I'm going to go back and get the sugared peach. That was the one that was slightly off-white. And we're going to take that and we're going to use that as our highlight color so that it's not too harsh compared to the rest of the piggy, because she's kind of soft looking. So now we're just doing some little highlights on her shoulders, her arms, her butt. We'll do a little bit on her nose, on her ears. Maybe a little bit in these flowers if your flowers look a little dark. Not too much. I don't want them to be too busy, but just a little. And then maybe a tiny bit on our leaves. All these little details will busy up your door hanger to where things aren't quite as noticeable if there's like boo-boos. Do a little bit on the cheeks and the chin, and I think that's all we're gonna do. Oh, no, I forgot her feet. Hang on. I want to do a little highlight down there to accent those cute little feet. Okay, what do you think? Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please sprinkle the love so you'll be entered for some happy mail. And don't forget to go grab your piggy template or your blank from the shop. And download the app so you can get your free birthday template as well. And you can also turn on notifications to be notified when we put new products in the shop, when we have special deals, or when I'm going to be going live, things like that. I hope y'all have a fantastic afternoon, and come join me back here again on Friday for Friday Fab 5. Bye, guys.